Donald Trump, during a campaign event in Iowa, weighed in on the recent Hamas attack on Israel. His comments reflected a mixture of condemnation for the attack, criticism of the Biden administration's actions, and a retrospective look at his own presidency. The former president began by characterizing the Hamas attack as a horrific act, emphasizing the need for a strong response. He conveyed his understanding that, at certain times, the world recoils at the sight of innocent lives, particularly babies, being lost in such conflicts. Trump went on to assert that even those on the farthest ends of the political spectrum would be repulsed by such an act of terror. Trump then shifted his focus to the geopolitical context, labeling the Hamas invasion of Israeli territory and the killing of Israeli soldiers and civilians as a savage act that required a decisive response. He made it clear that he believed this aggression needed to be forcefully addressed. The former president pivoted to criticize the Biden administration's handling of the situation, particularly in relation to its dealings with Iran. Trump asserted that the United States had given Iran a staggering $6 billion, an action he deemed catastrophic. He pointed out that this financial arrangement included the release of hostages, albeit at an even 5-for-5 exchange rate. Nevertheless, the $6 billion transfer was a source of concern for Trump. In his remarks, Trump lamented the perceived weakness of the current U.S. leadership and the consequences of such perceived weakness on the world stage. He suggested that the United States needed stronger leadership in these challenging times. Trump then delved into a comparison of his presidency with the current administration. He claimed that certain international incidents, such as the Hamas attack on Israel, would not have occurred under his leadership. He mentioned the crisis in Ukraine and the tough rhetoric surrounding Taiwan as examples. He asserted that these events were unfolding due to the Biden administration's actions and that they would not have transpired under his watch. The former president also reflected on his past achievements, notably the Abraham Accords, which he described as a phenomenal achievement. He lamented that the election outcome had potentially prevented further progress in the Middle East, including potentially involving Iran in peace negotiations. In his closing remarks, Trump expressed a desire for Joe Biden to be a great president, despite his criticisms, and emphasized his commitment to the well-being and security of the United States. In summary, Donald Trump's comments in Iowa encompassed his condemnation of the Hamas attack on Israel, criticism of the Biden administration's handling of foreign policy, support for Israel, and a reflection on his own presidency, suggesting that his leadership would have prevented the current crisis in the region.